Hello Year 10s, please excuse me if I'm a little nervous, I haven't done this before. Today I'd like to introduce a lesson on Botticelli's Primavera. It is a very beautiful work of the High Renaissance and it's very enigmatic. There's a clip of it, an image of it in classrooms that you might want to look at as I'm talking now. Now, the reason this painting is very difficult for us to understand is it is a recording of an allegory. Now, allegories in the medieval and Renaissance period were very complex, and it is a form that doesn't feel very familiar to us. So it could feel a little bit strange, a little bit complicated, entering the world, which obviously felt much more natural to the people of that period. Now, just to explain one corner of the action to show how complex this allegory is, you have a strange blue man at the right-hand corner holding quite tenderly a woman who has branches and flowers coming out her mouth. Now, this is actually a depiction of a rape. This is the rape by Zephyr, one of the winds. They used to think that the winds were at all four corners of the world, obviously not a round world model, so the winds, using the screen I think rather heavily, the zephyrs were at the four edges of the world, blowing, that was what produced all the breezes. So here the zephyr is raping the nymph Chloris. You can see why we don't find this familiar. This is, of course, a poem. And that is what she is doing, is she is in the act of being transformed into flowers, which is how the nymph Chloris escaped the rape. This is, of course, based on one of Ovid's Metamorphoses, and all of the metamorphoses in Metamorphoses are generally nymphs escaping rape or being raped and turning into something as a result of the trauma. You can see why we don't go in for allegory much anymore. Now, the thing that is particularly difficult, I think, for a modern viewer to understand is that out of that horror and that trauma comes beauty, and that is the figure of Flora, who is depicted just to the side of Chloris. And so she has been transformed into this incredibly beautiful young woman. A young woman who, if any of you are interested in investigating, appears in all of Botticelli's paintings. He was his standard beautiful woman. Particularly there's one that is very haunting where she has a snake wrapped around her throat, and it's believed to be a reference to the fact that she died of consumption, which affected her breathing. Anyway, footnotes. So one way that you could research this image, because you are actually going to be writing about it in the form of a poem, is to investigate how the allegory works and think very carefully about what your response to that allegory is, because I imagine that many of you will have quite a strong response to many aspects of it, whether it's the rape or the three graces, and I don't even remember what the man with the red cloak at the side is. But this doesn't have to be a particularly detailed investigation. Wikipedia will probably have it, as will any art history site. So that's weigh-in number 1. Weigh-in number 2, and I'm providing links, by the way, YouTube links, etc., for you to look at, is to look at some of the very interesting history, autobiographic history of Botticelli. He, of course, famously worked for the Medicis. Oh my God, I wonder if I can take over that. I was stuttering. Very tired. So it was the normal painter-patron relationship. But this was at a time in Florence, just before Savonarola, the incredibly weird, charismatic priest came along and initiated a huge power challenge to the nobility of Florence and advised everybody to do their Christian duty. And he set up this incredible frenzy, and it was called the Bonfire of the Vanities, and everybody ran out with tapestries and their wealth. Not the Medicis, obviously, they'd hightailed it to the hills. And they burnt it. There was literally a bonfire of the vanities, and I don't know why I've got this gleeful expression on my face, because horrifically, one of the people who was taken up in the frenzy was Botticelli, and he burnt his paintings. So if you think of either this painting or the incredibly beautiful Birth of Venus, they could have been burnt. He did burn many of his paintings. So some of you might want to write a poem about the tensions between the beauty that he produced and the guilt he felt about producing pagan beauty. It feels very strange. Beauty's beauty. I don't care what the brand name is. So the third way into it, that's two, is to actually look up its inspiration on another poet, and that is, of course, Dante Gabriel Rossetti, who wrote On Spring by Sandro Botticelli, and I've given a link to that in the work. So, here are your steps. 1. Watch this. 2. Do the research that is going to be sent to you on Classrooms. Most challenging of all, and that's 3 things that you have to research. Third thing, work out what you're going to write in response. It has to be a poem, and I think given that we're looking at a work from the Renaissance, the appropriate form is going to be, you guessed it, a Petrarchan sonnet. Please look that up. You studied it in Year 9. If you don't remember it, you will find a squillion and one English teachers very happy to tell you on the internet exactly what a Petrarchan sonnet is and how it's structured. Enjoy.